Hello everyone, myself Subrata Saha. I am a faculty of Automobile Engineering Department and of Dr. Sudhir Chandra Sood Institute of Technology and Sports Complex. So my today's topic is steering gears. So in my previous classes I was discussed about the types, the uses of gears in steering. That is, so many types of gears are used in steering linkage or steering system, and basically the gears are used for reduce the driver efforts, or means while the the efficiency of the steering. So less effort is required for a driver to control the steering. So that is the main function of the steering gearbox, to smooth control of the vehicle. Okay, and the steering gearbox also provides the leverage to a driver. Okay, and the the overall angular gear ratio between the steering wheel and the road wheels, that is varies from near about 12:1 to 30:1, and it is depending on the load on the road wheels and the type of steering also. Okay, if the steering ratio is lowered, steering gear ratio is lowered, or a more number of turns are required to move the wheel from lock to lock, that making it difficult for a rapid change in vehicle directions. So normally the steering road wheel stub axle must be able to twist through the maximum steering angle, that is near about 40 degree either side of the straight ahead positions or not, and therefore the lock to lock drop arm angular displacement amounts near about 80 degree, and with a 12:1 and 30:1 gear reduction, the number of turns of the steering wheel would be near about lock to lock steering 2.66 revolution of the wheel turns for 12:1 reduction, and lock to lock steering 6.66 revolution the wheel turns is near about 30:1 reduction. And these are the types of steering gears: screw and nut, rack and pinion, cam and peg, worm and roller, worm and sector, and recirculating ball type steering gearbox. Okay, so these are the types of steering gearbox: screw and nut type gearbox, rack and pinion type of gearbox, cam and peg, worm and roller, worm and sector, and recirculating ball type of steering gearbox. The screw and nut gear mechanism. These are the nut. A screw is inserted in a nut, and you know the pitch, that is the distance between two gear teeth. So the screws are considered as the gear teeth. So the screw and the nut type of mechanism is a basic form of all other types of steering gearbox, and this is the most common and easiest type of steering gearbox and basic fundamental of the steering gearbox. And a small input effort applied to the end of the perpendicular lever, which is fixed to the screw, that can move a much larger load axially along the screw, which provides the nut is held against the rotating. If the screw is prevented from moving gradually, but revolves once within its nuts, then the nut advances to re- retracts a distance equal to the axial length of one complete spiral groove lobe, and this distance is termed as the thread pitch or the lead, that is known as the P, that I told, that the distance between the two teeth. Okay, the inclination of the spiral thread to the perpendicular of the screw axis is known as the helix angle. So here you can see this is the helix angle, which is denoted by the alpha. If we decrease the helix angle, the nut displaced greater load and in an axial direction. Okay, the engaged external and internal spiral threads of the screw and nut mechanism may be considered as a pair of infinitely long inclined planes, and when the screw is rotated, keeping the nut stationary and the inclined plane of the screw slides relatively to the nut, and due to this this comparatively large surface area in contact between the this male and female thread, the surface contact area is very large, or large amount of surface area, and that's why the difficulty of maintaining of adequate supply of the lubricating. So lubricating is one of the major factor, and that can play a big role of this kind of steering gearbox. Okay, and this mechanism also provides a relatively high friction, which causes the low mechanical efficiency and high rate of wear and tear. Okay, and this friction can considerably be reduced in introducing a series of ball that we'll discuss on the next topic. Okay, that is screw and nut recirculating ball gear. So to reduce this friction, the manufacturer are starting to introduce some ball or roller ball in between these two surfaces. The overall gear ratio in a screw and nut steering gearbox is achieved in low stages, and in this first stage the nut moves along with the pitch length for every one complete revolution of the steering wheel, and in this second stage the linear movement of the nut is converted back to the angular one through an integral rocker lever and rocker lever and the shaft. The forward efficiency is also an important parameter for finding out the steering gearbox efficiency. So how do you find out this forward efficiency? That is work output work at the drop arm by input work at the steering wheel. Okay, so output of the drop arm to the input work of the steering wheel is the ratio of forward efficiency, and obviously it is multiplied by 100 to denote it in percentage. Okay, this is the compare between, this is mechanical efficiency. Now, this is the screw and nut recirculating ball gears. Oh, one more thing, that is two conditions, one is for forward and another is reverse, as I saw here, because in reverse gear there are also you have to calculate the steering efficiency. How? The reverse efficiency is can be calculated by output work at steering wheel, and the input work at the drop arm. This is the ratio of the reverse, and the efficiency of a screw, this is screw and nut recirculating ball gear. This is similar to that previous one, but we are introducing some recirculating ball here to reduce the friction. These are the recirculating ball, okay, to better performance or reduce the friction. So what are the advantages? The efficiency of the screw and nut type mechanism that varies with the helix angle. Helix angle, what is helix angle? This angle is the helix angle. That is inclination of the thread or inclination of the spiral thread to the perpendicular of the screw axis, that is also known as the helix angle. So in that screw and nut recirculating ball type gear, the helix angle region is of 40 to 50 degree. That region, that is the dotted region, 40 to 50 degree helix angle region. This 40 to 50 degree both forward and reverse direction, and it falls to 0 at the two extreme of 0 to 90 degree. 0 to 90 degree, it is fall in extreme 0 mechanical efficiency. So that is the graph. The plot of both forward and reverse efficiency curve for a screw and nut device looks similar but appears to be out of the phase by an amount that is known as the friction factor. If a helix angle is selected, that is 40 degree, for the maximum forward efficiency at a point A, and also for a very high reverse efficiency at point A dash. This is A and A dash. This is A and this is A dash. So that is the main thing, and therefore a smaller helix angle that is near about 30 degree, that 30 degree, which produces only a slight reduction of the forward efficiency, and B but relative much larger reduced reverse efficiency at B dash is when B dash is obtained, and consequently this absorbs a damping force also, and the majority of very small vibration generally by the tires, and which is rolling over the road conditions also. A typical value for the helix angle is near about 30 degree, and which produce forward and reverse efficiencies of about 55% and 30% respectively without recirculating balls, and with recirculating ball introduction. uh, the ball is between the screw and nut. The forward and reverse efficiencies become approximately 80% and 60% respectively. Okay. The rack and pinion gear mechanism. Next, rack and pinion steering gear mechanism. The rack and pinion gear mechanism transfer the circular input motion of the pinion into a linear rack output movement, so that the side to side travel of the rack is transferred through the tie rods to the tie rod steering arms and also the stub axles. This is the picture. This is also rack and pinion steering. That is the cross sectional view. Okay. This is view from the steering wheel. The circular pitch of the pinion should be equal to the linear pitch of the rack for correct mesh. And here from the picture, R, capital R is the steering wheel radius, as small r is the pinion pitch circle radius. Okay, that is small p and that is capital R. And T is the, if we consider that T is the number of pinion teeth, and P is the linear or circular pitch, small p, that is circular pitch, and E is the input of the steering or steering wheel effort, and W is the work output rack load. Okay, that is the W. So if we consider the movement ratio, the movement ratio will be generally 2 pi capital R by TP. That is the formula of the movement ratio. And the movement ratio of the rack and pinion steering gears for manual steering, it is depend largely on the weight of the vehicle, and that is range from near about 12:1 for a small car, and that is up to 22 or 23:1. Generally we see that 19-20 in ambassador. We know that the steering gear ratio for rack and pinion, that is near about 21:1. Okay, so that is their gear ratios, steering ratio, gear ratios is near about 14 or 15:1 to 22:1. That is the gear ratios. And the rack and pinion steering box, and that is uses a pinion gear. Here you can see that is the pinion gear. And for pinion gear connected to the steering wheel through a coupling and universal joints. The pinion gear is supported by 2 ball race bearing, and the rack is a circular section shaft with teeth cut along one face and is positioned perpendicular to the pinion. The rack is aligned to mesh with the pinion and slides in its tubular housing that is in between the 2 bearings also. A plain bush bearing is placed at one end of the housing, and an adjustable half bearing support yoke opposite the pinion gear is obtained at the other end of the casing also. The half bearing yoke pushes the rack teeth into the mesh with the pinion teeth and also control the amount of the backlash between the rack and pinion teeth also. Since the rack is a gear of infinite diameters and the pitch circle is a straight line, so both gear teeth profiles are of the gear profiles are in involute forms, and the side profiles of the pinion teeth is also curved, and the side of the rack teeth is straight and also it is inclined. So in case of straight cut rack and pinion teeth, only one pair of teeth mesh and contact their whole width at any moment, and consequently the tooth profile contact point always moves from one side to other of the pitch line of both rack and pinion teeth. Uneven movement of the rack occurs at the steering load is transferred from one pair of teeth to the next pair of teeth. With helical cut rack and pinion teeth, more than one pair of the teeth comes into the contact at any instant, and also the teeth engage progressively and there is some contact on the pitch line at all times. As a result, the helical pinion teeth take greater loads rather than the spar gear type of the teeth, and its helical type of gear is also engage smoothly and operate very soundlessly. Okay, this is the rack and pinions type of gearbox. So next one is the cam and peg type steering gearbox. There are another types. This type of steering gearbox incorporates in places of conventional screws a cylindrical shaft supported between the two angular contact ball bearing. Okay. The shaft carries a deep spiral grooves and usually with a variable pitch on its surface between the bearings. The groove has tapered profile which narrows toward the bottom, and integral rocker arm and shaft is placed halfway along the cam. At the free end of the rocker arm, a conical peg is fitted which engage the groove. When the steering wheel and the shaft rotates the camshaft, one side of the spiral grooves skews the peg axially and forward or backward, and which is also depending upon the direction of turning of the cam. This forces of the rocker arm to pivot about its shaft axis, and as a result a similar angular motion. These forces of the rocker arm to pivot about the shaft axis, and as a result a similar angular motion, and it's transferred to the drop arms, and which is attached to the shaft outer ends also. Okay, so this is the drop arm. In low efficiency cam and peg steering gearbox, the peg is pressed directly into the hole drilled in the rocker arms. To improve efficiency, the peg is supported with needle roller assembled and inside an enlarged board in rocker arm. In the high efficiency heavy duty arrangement, the peg is supported with opposing taper roller bearing which is mounted directly onto the rocker arm, which is shaped to form the inner tracks of the bearing. Cam and peg mechanism have average forward and reverse efficiency near about 50% and 30% respectively for pegs that are fixed in the rocker arms, and of course the 70% and 50% respectively for the needle mounted pegs. Okay, so this is the cam and peg steering gearbox. Now worm and roller steering gearbox, where this is now very popular kind of gearbox. And this type of gearbox is mounted in between opposite taper roller bearing. The outer race of the bearing is located in the end plate flange and in a supporting sleeve at the input end of the worm shaft, and it is also incorporated between the end plates, and housing are used for adjusting the taper roller bearing preload and for centralizing the worm relative to the rocker shaft also. Okay, a roller follower having 2 or 3 teeth engaged with the worm teeth and is carried on 2 set of needle rollers, which is supported on a short steel pin which is located between the fork arm, an integral part of the rocker shaft to reduce frictional losses also. The needle roller are replaced by ball racer, and which are supporting to the radial load and also end thrust. The rocker shaft is supported on 2 plain bushes which is located in the steering box and other in the top cover plate. A shouldered screw located in a machined mortise to the T-slot at the one end of the rocker shaft, which is absorbs the end thrust in both direction on the rocker shaft. Okay, so this is the worm and roller type of steering gearbox. The steering wheel is moved to the mid portion of the number of turn of the steering wheel from lock to lock. The end thrust shouldered screw is screwed until all free movement is taken up, and then the lock nut is tightened to reduce the offset distance also. The cam is centralized relative to the rocker shaft roller so that there is an equal amount of backlash between the roller and worm at a point half a turn of the steering wheel at either side of the mid positions. Any adjustment necessary is carried out by removing the seams from one end plate and adding the same to the existing seams at the other ends. Okay, so this is the worm and roller type of steering gearbox. Now the worm and sector type of gearbox. In this type of gearbox, the outcome of advancement of the old worm and wheel type of designs. A case of hardened steel worm and sector are located by the bearing in a malleable iron or light alloy casing. Okay, and this from this figure, the worm and sector steering mechanism, the worm is connected to the inner column and the sector forms a part of rocker shaft in the steering gearbox. And from this type of gearbox, steering gearbox, end float of inner column is adjusted using seam. End float of rocker shaft is adjusted using seam or screw. Backlash between gears is adjusted by moving the gears. So this is the woman sector steering gearbox. Now recirculating ball nut type of steering gearbox. This is very complicated type of steering gearbox, and this design is an improvement of simple screw and nut type of gearbox by replacing the male and female screw thread by the spiral grooves from onto the input shaft and inside the bore of the hub nut. A ring of steel balls are loaded between the internal and external grooves, and within the nut assembly, the portion of the shaft with the spiral grooves is known as the worm, and which has a single start left hand or right hand spiral for right hand or left hand drive types of vehicle. If it is left hand, that is the left hand spiral. If it is right hand driving steering, that is right hand spiral. Okay, the worm shaft is supported between two set of ball races installed at the either end of, normally in an aluminium housing, or the bearing is preload and is adjusted by steel seams sandwiched between the smooth surface portion of the worm shaft and is situated on the inside of the end plate also. A half nut is assembled to the worm with a detachable semicircular transfer tube, and which is secured to the nut by a retainer and two bolts also. The steel balls are fitted in the passage to forms by the grooves, and the transfer tube and the transfer tubes are the free to move during the rotation of the worm shaft. Okay, and this type of recirculating ball and rocker levered gear has forward and reverse efficiencies of approximately 80% and 60% respectively. That is 80% for forward and 60% for reverse. Okay, now my today's topic is over. Okay, thank you.